What's good, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be a super chill chit chat, get ready with me video. I'm just getting ready to go get brunch with my mom and my sister, so I thought I'd chat with you guys and just talk about different topics. I love those videos online where it's like people are just sharing their opinions on like maybe controversial topics. I'm on Twitter a lot, like Black Twitter specifically, and I feel like there's always something that people are debating about. So I thought I'd just share my opinion on different things while we get ready and get cute. Y'all know I'm gonna do a little disclaimer. I have to do this every time I do a get ready with me. I'm not a makeup girly. I'm by no means like really good at doing makeup. So if you guys ever have any tips as I do my makeup, definitely comment them down below because I can use all the help that I can get. The first thing I want to talk about is just social media in general and like just consuming social media and how it can affect you, because I feel like, I don't know, I talk a lot on my channel about the importance of like protecting your energy and being very conscious when you're consuming media, when you're on social media specifically, right? And so I think it's important to recognize that like there's always like debates online. I feel like the whole point of social media is like sharing your opinion and talking about it with others. But I feel like oftentimes people forget that social media, like just because you have an opinion about something doesn't mean that other people have to have the same opinion. And oftentimes I see people debating and fighting and really getting into it over topics, and I'm just like, I think that we forget that we can have different opinions. Like, we don't have to have the same opinion on every single thing. And I think people get really worked up when someone shares like a preference or like an opinion on something that doesn't align with their own, and they almost take it as like really like a personal offense. And I'm like, sometimes I just get confused because like some of these topics I'm gonna talk about, I'm sure there's gonna be things that you guys maybe don't agree with, and I feel like that's totally okay. I feel like social media just doesn't have to be that serious, and I feel like it can just get so toxic and so like, I don't know, just the environment sometimes online, like I literally just have to log off because I'm just like, I don't understand why people get so worked up over things. But yeah, I don't know, I just had to kind of say that because I'm really about to share my opinion on different topics, and I know some people will not agree on them. But like we can have a discussion, like we can just be respectful and like, you know, we can disagree and that's okay. So, oh my God, this foundation, I'm like completely out of it. So I'm using like the bottom of the fucking barrel and it is not going on the way that I want it to, but it's fine. So one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of people talk about recently is this new SZA album. For me, I'm a huge SZA fan. Like I love SZA. The Control album is one of my favorite albums of all time. Like I'm a huge fan of SZA, right? So of course, when this album dropped, I was like up, ready Thursday night. I was like ready to listen to it. I had my little glass of wine. Like I was ready. So if you guys notice, my skin has been peeling really bad because I've been using, I use Retin-A or like tretinoin. It's like a tretinoin cream and it's pretty strong. And I don't know what's been going on lately, but my skin's just been peeling a lot more. But I'm not gonna lie, like I just could not vibe with it. Like I remember specifically, I got to a song where she was like calling herself a loser and I just had to turn it off, mainly because like, look, I am a huge fan of like, I think music is supposed to literally be like meeting you where you're at. With any art, it's an expression. So if you're angry, if you're sad, you should be expressing that. Like it's a form of alchemy, right? It's a way of getting emotions out of your body. It's like crying. Crying is not this overall negative thing. It's actually a really good thing to like sit in your emotions, to experience them. And so when it comes to something like heartbreak or just feeling like invalidated by maybe a man, which mainly, if you haven't listened to this SZA album, or if you just like are not, you know, up to date on like SZA and like her vibe, a lot of her music, like what Control was and what this new album very much is like, it talks about heartbreak. It talks about like feeling not good about yourself, feeling invalidated by a man, feeling insecure. And for me, I identified a lot with the Control album because I was really young when Control came out. I definitely felt like I identified with a lot of things that she was talking about because she talked about those same topics on that album. And so with this new album, I was kind of expecting and hoping for, you know, kind of a more healed and more evolved version of SZA, because I feel like for me, I've evolved, I've grown. I'm not the same girl I was back in 2017 when Control came out. I'm definitely in a different place when it comes to the way I view myself, the way I view men, right? And for me, like I can appreciate music for what it is. I can appreciate the feelings that she's expressing on that album because we've all been there, right? We've all been through these moments where we feel like shit about ourselves, we feel down, we feel like we want to take out vengeance, we're angry, it's like this toxic feeling. We've all been there. But for me personally, I'm at a place right now, and I literally just got to this place, to be honest. I'm at a place where I'm past that. Like I cannot continue honestly, for the past few months, I have been in a very like low place when it comes to the way I view myself. Mainly because of my interactions with men. And so for me, the place that I'm in right now personally, I cannot listen to an album like that and just get down with it and sing it and sing along about how I feel like I'm a loser and how I want to go in and get revenge and fuck someone else even though I'm thinking about you. I can't do it at this place in my healing journey because I know it's going to put me back into that place of wallowing and just like negatively thinking and almost perpetuating like that fear-based mentality. Again, I'm not above those feelings. I'm not gonna say that I've never felt that before. Again, I've spent the past few months being in that place. But again, for me, I'm at a place where it's like I'm kind of over it. Like I don't want to be sitting here thinking about men all day, every day. I have other things to do. I really am at a place where I really do want to focus back on myself and learning really just like to love myself and to prioritize myself above everything else. And I just feel like for me, when I was listening to that album, I didn't feel like that's the place that she was coming from. Like I don't feel like that's what her lyrics were singing about. And so I'm having to be very conscious of what I'm consuming when it comes to, again, not only food, but also media and music, right? And the thing is with music is I'm a firm believer in that like music, and especially like the lyrics that you're singing to yourself, words, like it's spell, like words are spells. And so when you're singing to yourself these lyrics about you being a loser or you feeling like all these negative toxic things, I'm a firm believer in that we do internalize that and we do believe that. And so again, because I'm on this journey of literally having to heal and having to basically reprogram my mind to start loving myself again, I don't want to be singing these lyrics that makes me like subconsciously go back to a place where I don't feel good about myself. Like I'm in a phase right now where like I'm listening to Renaissance every single day. Like if y'all watch my vlogs, y'all know that album to me is like how I manifest, how I connect with my higher self. And so for me, again, I'm not saying I'm above these things. I'm not saying if you listen to this as an album and you identify with it right now, then you are low vibration or whatever. I'm not saying that because again, I have been there, but I'm just past it. I cannot vibe with it. And this is why I'm saying, like I say this all the time on my channel, you have to be very conscious of what you are consuming, because the things that you tell yourself, like the words that you tell yourself, the music you listen to, the things that you watch, the things that you put into your body, all these things affect you subconsciously way beyond what you even fully understand. Oh, and then also the other thing I was gonna say about this is the thing before I move on is I think when it comes, like people keep using the example of like, oh, rap, like y'all listen to rap, but y'all don't listen to, like y'all can't listen to this album. We have to again remember proximity. So when it comes to like listening to like hood music, like rap, gang music, a lot of us, or at least for me, right? I grew up in the suburbs. So when I listen to this kind of music, and I think this is like a lot of people, they've never been through that kind of stuff. So it's easier to enjoy it and listen to it because they're not sensitive to those topics. Take someone who maybe just got out of a really bad environment where there was a lot of gang violence and just murder in general. So them listening to that kind of rap music that's full of violence may be more triggering to them because that's what they're closer in proximity to. So when you take people who are like, oh, I can't listen to this SZA album right now, it may be because it's hitting a little bit too close to home for them, because they can understand and relate to those feelings a lot, those toxic feelings that maybe they're trying to move past. Whereas when it comes to rap, it's like you can't relate to that as much, so you can maybe enjoy it. And I'm not saying it's good to consume that, because that's also full of like ego and all that stuff as well. But for me personally, it's like I can listen to music about like money. Like the rap music I listen to is more about like money than like it is like very murder violent music. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we have to also just recognize that like there's a proximity thing. Okay, anyways, next topic that I feel like has been so controversial lately has been 50-50, like going 50-50 with your partner when it comes to bills and like everything. And for me, again, I just fucked up my eyebrows. Again, when it comes to this topic, I'm like, to each their own. Like, I think again, this topic sets so many people off because they'll be in their own situation and they'll see someone else share their opinion like, oh, people shouldn't be going 50-50, and then they take such personal offense to it. But I'm just like, y'all, we all have different lives. And also we all have different income levels. Like not everyone's situation is gonna be the same. So just because you're seeing a girl who like maybe has a really rich boyfriend and who doesn't believe in 50-50, sharing their opinion online doesn't mean that she's looking down on you, or doesn't mean that you're wrong or whatever because you and your boyfriend make closer income levels and you decide to do 50-50. Like, everyone is different. Everyone can have their own opinion. For me personally, I'm a big believer. I personally believe in, I don't know if I would say 50-50, but personally, I don't think I could ever see myself living with a man or being in a situation where I'm like in a really long-term relationship where I'm just letting a man pay all my bills. That's just me. I don't think I could do it because for me, first of all, I make enough money. I make a good amount of money. I could take care of myself, right? But also it's just like, I personally, I think it's mainly just because I don't think I could ever feel comfortable giving a man that much like power over like my like life. Like, I've never been in this kind of situation. So I have a very limited whatever perspective. But the best way that I can kind of see it is like, for me growing up, my parents definitely helped me out. My parents, like, you know, paid my insurance. Like, they didn't just completely like make me go off on my own and do my own thing, but my parents made me start working when I was 16. And I had to, like, when I want to go shopping and like buy clothes for back to school or like anything that I really wanted to buy, I had to pay for myself, right? And so I kind of got used to that mentality. Like, when I was in college, like I was paying my own rent in college. Like, I paid my own bills. I've taken care of myself literally since I like basically turned 18. And for me, I noticed growing up, like, people who like whose parents supported them throughout college and like as they were, you know, getting older, a lot of people that I knew who were like that, although that was great and part of me was like a little bit jealous of them, like, damn, that must be nice to like be completely taken care of and supported. A huge difference that I noticed between my life and between me and them was their parents had a lot more control over them. Like, they had to talk to their parents before they would book a trip. They had to check in with their parents more. They just had to get more approval from their parents. Their parents had more of like a hand in their life, right? They had less independence, less freedom, even though, you know, maybe they're in college or whatever. And so the way I see it personally is like, for me, because I'm so used to, again, just taking care of myself, I would never be comfortable with I would never be comfortable with a man paying all my bills, because for me, I feel like at the end of the day, when someone does support you completely, even if you do have your own money on the side, I just feel like personally, that person has more control over you. I don't think I would feel comfortable with someone having all of that control and all of that power, if that makes sense. So for me personally, I don't know if I believe in like 50-50. For me, I probably would be more like down for like 80-20, like depending on how much my partner was making. Again, this is very hypothetical for me. I've never even lived with a man before, but I do kind of believe in the stereotype a little bit of like a man having more of that like responsibility, just because for me personally, honestly, okay, let me kind of back it up. For me, like, okay, when it comes to like dating, for example, right? When you first start going out with a man, I'm a firm believer in like, yeah, he's paying for the dates. Like, he's paying for the dates for a good few months, right? Like, that's just how I see things. Like, yeah, I'll offer to pay for like, you know, a dinner every now and then. But for the most part, like when we first start dating, I'm definitely a big believer in not doing 50-50. That's just how I see it personally. But then again, once you move in together and once you start paying bills and sharing things like long term, that's when I don't want a man just paying for all my stuff, if that makes sense. But I will say, for me, I'm a believer in, for a man to be able to sit comfortably in his masculine and for him to be able to be the most confident energetically in himself in a relationship with me, he has to be able to provide a little bit more, and he has to be therefore probably making a little bit more, or maybe making something at least comparable to like what I'm making. So although I don't completely believe in, again, a man paying all my bills, I personally do believe in that, you know, gender role stereotype a little bit of like a man should be providing a little bit more of something, if that makes sense. I don't know how to really fully explain it. Over the past few years, as I've gotten older and as I've started making more money, I very much learned, because I used to not believe in this at all. When it comes to masculine and feminine, I very much learned, for me at least, that stuff does matter. Money does matter. For a man, how much he makes matters a lot. And a man cannot be, most of the time, A man cannot be in a place where he cannot provide for you and also be confident in himself. Like it affects the energy dynamic of the relationship. Okay, so thinking about like the topic of like masculine and feminine, I guess we're kind of like shifting into that. I see a lot of that stuff like on TikTok and all that. I'm a believer in that stuff. Like I'm a believer in, and I used to not really be. I used to be like, like, you know, whatever, like we're in a new day and age. No, I believe truly a lot of men in this day and age struggle with feeling masculine and feeling comfortable in their masculine. And there's a lot of healing that men have to do when it comes to feeling masculine. That doesn't just have to do with how much money they're making. It has to do with their energy, the way that they express themselves, the way that they are able to just feel comfortable. Like masculine energy is all about chasing and going after things, and a lot of men I think struggle with that. A lot of men struggle with not only just like finances, but like they struggle with feeling confident in themselves and feeling confident to pursue and chase and all these things. And I think as a woman, when you're dating someone who is not comfortable in their masculine, it's going to put you in a position where you are actually having to present more masculine energy, and you're gonna have to, I don't know what the word is, but it puts you in a position as a woman where you are doing more of the, like, let's say with dating, for example, when a man is like, oh, like I want to take you out, you know, whatever, and then you're like, okay, cool, and then they're like, oh, okay, so what do you want to do? It's like, no, like that is going to put you in a position where it's like now you're having to not only think about getting ready, getting cute, you know, presenting it, because as a woman, we're doing these things. Like we're getting cute, we're putting our energy into how we look and how we show up in our energy for a date. So when a man is then also putting the responsibility on you to then go and plan and figure out what you're going to be doing, all these things, like to me, that's an example of you having to be more in your masculine. You're doing a job that a man, to me at least, should be doing. And again, I know that that's very like stereotype, like gender roles, but personally, I used to, again, not believe in that stuff, but the more I've been dating, again, I'm only 24, but the more I've been dating, the more I do believe in that stuff quite a bit. Like a man should be, not always, right? Obviously, as you get in a relationship, as time goes on, like it starts to kind of even out, you know, you put in a little bit more work, maybe you start paying for some stuff every now and then as a woman. But I think especially when a man is courting you, and then again, when we think about moving into like the long-term paying the bills, all this kind of stuff, a man does need to be taking on more of that responsibility, because for you as a woman, you're already putting in your energy to being beautiful, to feeling good, right? Your aura, your energy is already something that you are not putting in work, but you are focusing on. Like feminine energy is about receiving. It's just about being and just like literally just receiving, right? And masculine energy is about chasing. And we all have both feminine and masculine energy within us. But for me personally, like I use a lot of my masculine energy in my work. I am a hardworking woman when it comes to my career and all these other things. And so when it comes to dating, I'm sorry, I don't want to have to put a bunch of energy into chasing you, or, you know, a lot of men, I think in this day and age, want to be chased. And I think, again, this is very much rooted in a wounded masculine. And at the end of the day, like I have a really good podcast that I listen to. Actually, it's on the Aura app, so you have to have Aura, but it's such a good podcast. And it talks about feminine energy, specifically like divine feminine energy. But it talks about it from a very deeply like spiritual perspective, without all that like very patriarchal, because I know a lot of this masculine and feminine stuff can be very rooted in like patriarchal views, but I think that there is a lot of truth in, again, just the spiritual, the true spiritual meanings behind masculine and feminine. And so this podcast talks a lot about it, and it basically was saying like a lot of what's going to need to happen in order for this world to heal, not just for us to have good dating lives, but in order for us to truly heal as a collective, is there needs to be a healing of the masculine. A lot of the reason why we have wars, the reason why honestly most of society is the way it is today is because of the wounded masculine. A lot of us are on this journey of healing our feminine, but the reason why so many of us are on this journey of having to do this is because we have been brought up in a very masculine, but not just masculine, but very wounded masculine society, where men not just when it comes to dating, but just in life in general, are operating from a place of a wounded masculine. And I'm not gonna get too much into all that right now. I know I'm just talking about like dating and stuff, like we're keeping it very light in this video, but I just want to make clear that when it comes to this masculine and feminine stuff, it goes a lot deeper than who pays for the dates and who's paying the bill. It goes a lot deeper than that stuff. And so when we think about a subject like 50-50 or whatever, even when we boil it down to dating, this is all part of the collective, again, healing of the wounded masculine. And again, I think in order for men to feel the most comfortable with themselves and within their masculinity, a lot of this also has to be exhibited and practiced through dating. Dating is like romance, love is a major avenue in which we can heal just in general. And so as a woman, I'm very focused right now on healing my feminine. I tend to operate a lot from a very masculine energy. I think that's just again, I think just because of the society that we've been brought up in, and that also has seeped into my dating life and my relationships. And so I'm in a place now where I'm really truly having to understand and learn about this stuff so I can better recognize men who are not sitting comfortably in their masculine, but also so that I can, again, be operating from a place of more receiving energy. Because oftentimes when it comes to these topics, you may find yourself as a woman in a place where you are maybe chasing a man or where you are, you know, whatever. And it's a lot of times because genuinely a lot of men do think that they're the prize. And again, this comes from a wounded masculine place. So again, I'm not gonna get too much into this topic. I feel like I could talk about this literally for hours. I watch a lot of different YouTube videos on this, so I'll leave a link to some down below if you guys like wanna learn some more. The podcast that I listen to on Aura probably talks about it in the most like spiritual way that I feel like I really align to, but I don't know. I watch a lot of different, maybe like controversial YouTubers. I wouldn't even say controversial, but there's some YouTubers that I watch that maybe you probably won't agree with. And I think there's some people who present this topic from like a very harsh perspective, and a lot of ego can come from talking about these topics. I know a lot of women out there just want to be spoiled and just want someone to take care of them, which I think is totally fine, honestly. But I know a lot of people don't agree with that. But again, for me, when it comes to these things, it's not just about being spoiled, or it's not just about a man taking care of me, because again, I can take care of myself. It's more just about energy and like genuinely how I feel in a relationship, like spiritually and energetically within myself. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys enjoy this little chit chat. Let me know your opinions and all that stuff in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys and I love hearing your opinions, whether you agree with me or not. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having an amazing start to your week. And I know my makeup doesn't look that much done. I need to still finish like getting dressed and stuff, but I realized that I'm running I'm running late now. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.